All right, good morning, good afternoon, or evening, whichever time you're tuning us in from. Welcome to the Truck Around and Find Out podcast. We're going to be talking about some fun stuff. Got some interesting topics today, but we'll be talking about some stuff that surrounds trucking, safety, community, and our lives here in northern Colorado. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Byers, the owner of Front Range Compliance and DOT University, and I am joined here with Keith and Redbeard, but, Keith, we're more interested in what you have to say. Keith, how was your weekend?
Wow. I'm not even family. Good weekend. Good weekend, kind of quiet.
It was.
Took third place at the GTO, Northern Colorado GTO Club chili cook-off.
You did, and Holly and I joined you at that cook-off.
That was a lot of fun.
Thanks for the invite. Great people. Can you tell us a little bit about the GTO Club?
It's obviously formed in the 80s. The GTO is, the muscle car that kind of started it all back in the early 60s. And this has been a club that's been around for a long time. I personally don't own a GTO. I own a Firebird. But since it's one of the charter clubs, I believe you can, it doesn't matter what car you have. You can just be a member. We got Fords, we got Chevys, we got everything in between, So good club, good people.
Good, like-minded people.
Yeah, really, really good people. Very, very good people. But, and the chili cook-off is a lot of fun. It's always fun to sample all the different kinds of chili. And, that's the best part to me is you just get to check them all out. And I took second place 4 years in a row.
Yep.
Third place the fifth year, so I'm not going the right way.
Well, in your defense, the cups got a little mixed up, but I'm not quite sure anybody knew who was first, second, or third. But you ended up in the top rung there, though.
Yeah, and made the podium.
I got to tell you, your chili was definitely pretty good. I think I helped myself to 5 or 6 different. I don't have any idea how you could try all of them. I was kind of mixing within the bowls, putting a little on this side, a little on that side type thing. But yeah, there was definitely some good tasting stuff there.
Yeah,
a lot of people. When I walked in, I told them I didn't have chili, and they said it's a good thing because we don't have any more room for it. And I looked at their chili table, and it was completely full.
Yeah.
It was like, man, there's a lot of chili here. So yeah, it was pretty good. So fun meeting. You guys had in your meeting, you had some topics, and you really talking about some, I think you got a big event coming up here.
The GTO AA, which is the GTO Association of America, which is the national organization, which our little club here in Northern Colorado is under. They have the GTO Nationals every year somewhere. This year it happens to be in Loveland, July 7 through 11, here at the Embassy Suites right off I-25.
Yeah.
So the guys, I've been kind of in some of the video meetings with them, the national guys, and I was just asking them questions because I've never been to one of these. And they said, you will see some of the finest GTOs you've ever seen.
I bet.
Concourse restored, everything from absolutely perfection restored to survivor cars that have never been restored.
Wow.
They're going to have a couple hundred cars indoors at the Embassy Suites.
Wow.
Some of these cars, they say they were literally bought off the showroom floor, bubble wrapped, shoved in a trailer, and they'll be showing up. So, some amazing cars. And then on the outside, obviously this is more GTO Pontiac theme, but they are going to have a big car show.
Mm-hmm.
Anything's welcome.
Wow.
So
sounds fun.
Should be quite the deal.
And when is that?
July 7 through 11.
And they're doing it at the Embassy Suites?
Embassy Suites.
Embassy Suites. Wow. Yeah. Good venue. It sounded to me like there might be a little parking situation. So
and that's mainly for people with trucks and trailers that are hauling their stuff in. So we got a special place for them.
You. I was just thinking it's going to be nice to have y'all. I was an outsider listening in, so I was thinking, well, if they're going to struggle with the parking, it'd be nice to keep all the cool cars together.
That's what they'll do. And they'll have security there overnight,
nice,
and
cool.
So you can leave your car out and not have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And then we've got garage tours going on.
I heard about that.
They got a gentleman that's got quite a car collection.
I heard.
He's got, what did they say? 69 Mach 1 Mustangs.
Yeah,
he has
the
429
collection.
Boss. He has every color.
Yeah, I was completely blown away when they were talking. And they said this guy's got a car in his living room.
Yeah.
I mean, like you walk in. I think I heard you kind of snicker over there. I think you were like,
Heck
oh,
yeah.
that's a dream right there. I can't wait to walk into
Not
your
my
house.
wife, not Kelly's
Not
dream,
Kelly.
but it is mine.
That beautiful car sitting
I have
right
a
there.
nice tricked out Pontiac engine sitting in the corner like a little piece of art.
Yeah, I'll be real honest. They were going down the list of the cars that he had, and I was just like blown away.
Unbelievable.
I mean, the list, they just went
Very,
on and
very
on
rare
and on
cars.
and on.
They said
So,
he had one car that there were two made.
yes, that was.
Jay
I think
Leno
that-
has one and he has the other one.
I think that was the Firebird, was it not? Or
No.
the Trans Am.
No,
It was something like that. But
he did
yeah,
have a
you're-
'69 Trans Am,
he
which
did,
is
yeah. That's
and it's
the
a
one you were telling
convertible,
me about.
which is one of 8 ever built.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of.
That's an
So,
expensive car.
Yeah, geez, yeah,
Yeah.
quite the collection. Now, the garage tour, is that part of this? The big.
From what I understand is everything goes on. You can go through the cars, you can go through the cars on the inside, and they're doing judging and everything like that. And they got different breakout sessions and classes for people that want to learn more about it.
Wow.
And then in the every day there's something going on. Like we've got the drive-in theater in Fort Collins.
Yeah,
Oh, they got people signed up for that.
yeah.
They're
I
all
want
going to
to go to that one.
Yeah,
That's
and
for
so
sure.
you got to get registered though.
Yeah, definitely.
So check out gtoaa.com
Okay.
if you want to look at that. And then they've got a hot rod run up to Mishawaka.
Mm-hmm.
They've got one up to the Stanley Hotel. They got the garage tour. And then after the garage tour, we're going to go to the guy's place and do hamburgers and hot dogs and stuff like that. And in his shop, well, it's Dave's.
Yeah.
It's a very nice shop. And so I'm not sure if I'll be able to go on the garage tour because I told Dave, I said, I'll get over there and help you start cooking, and get things put together. But
Perfect. Yeah.
should be a lot of
Fantastic.
fun.
Yeah, and I did hear that they need a meeting location for a couple of their meetings,
Yeah.
and very happy to offer up Front Range Compliance, our
Yeah,
room
that'd be
upstairs.
wonderful.
So I don't know if they're going to want to come over and check it out, but yeah, we're definitely excited to open the door in the facility.
Yeah, and
let
Kelly
your
and I
team in.
talked to say we could hold a couple meetings a year. If we can get half a dozen people that have room
Yeah.
to do it just twice a year, then
Yeah.
it's not such a
Well, I think they'll like it because they can. I know we don't have a whole lot of traffic going by, but the parking lot will be empty after
Yeah.
hours, and they can
That'd be perfect.
park out there and dock over the cars, and and be kind of a fun event. I look forward to it, so it'll be cool to see some people.
Yeah,
come
that'd be
down
great.
and do that kind of thing. So yeah, that was fun. It was a great meeting. Like I said, good people. A lot of chili. Holy moly, a lot of chili. I thought I was gonna have a bellyache, but luckily my old butt was feeling okay the other day. So yeah, a lot of fun. It was great catching up with you and Kelly for sure. So what else do you have going on in trucking? I'm kind of hearing some scuttlebutt of the EPA stuff again.
Yeah, and the biggest thing, we've got the 50 state emission engine coming. I think I've mentioned that on several other ones. Here in the next probably 4, 6, maybe 8 weeks, the EPA is going to announce what they have to have for warranty on the after treatment. And that's going to determine really how much this new engine is going to be an additional cost.
All right.
So it could be 8 to 10 grand. It could be 20 to 30 grand. We just
Holy
don't
moly.
know. So everybody's kind of on hold waiting to see what the costs are going to be. Because if it's going to be 8 to 10 grand, I think a lot of companies are like, I'm not going to go do a pull ahead buy where they buy a bunch before the new emissions hit. But if we're talking 20, 30 grand, you're probably going to see some companies.
Yeah, and those trucks are starting to become pretty limited, I would assume. I mean,
Yeah.
because it's a limited run. I mean, they're
Yeah.
going to run out eventually, and everybody's going to be forced
Yeah,
into these new
it's just
trucks.
this year, so a 2027 model year. And then once you hit 2028, that's the new motor.
Boy, if that were me, I'd be saying you better get motivated and go pick up some trucks. I know where you can get some beautiful Peterbilts. This
Yeah,
guy
I do
over at
too.
Rocky Mountain Peterbilt. He's dying to sell y'all a truck. I know he's got some nice stuff. So, well, hopefully that give a little boost to the industry and get some trucks sold
Yeah.
out there. There's some other stuff too that we're going to talk about here in a little bit that hopefully will get viewed at and possibly also kind of boost this stuff. But yeah, fantastic. Well, Just a little bit on our end, some of the training. I would say last year we had a pretty crazy year. A lot of stuff that took my focus away from doing a lot of training. But so far in 2026, we've definitely had a big boost in our training. We brought in a new company, this Terracon. They told me about when I first was talking with them about them. They said it's a biggest company you know that is not that you never heard of, that kind of thing. And I had no idea when they first called me and wanted to do training. I was booking up some conventions, and then I booked it as a convention, like I was just going to go talk to a few people and that kind of thing. I didn't realize the con was just part of their name, and yeah, they've kind of been all over. But we've been doing a lot of training for cargo securement and some hours of service and some safety stuff, kind of nationwide with them. So they keep calling me about every other day with a new location to go train at in another state. So
That's good.
I've been putting some miles on, getting my airline miles to travel around the nation and that kind of thing. But one of the big topics that I wanted to talk about when it comes to like compliance upgrades, right now I'm working with a new company that went through a DOT audit back in 2010. So we're talking 16 years ago. And the result of their review turned out to be a conditional rating, and I've seen this a lot in the past, but it's kind of tops right now. And that conditional rating is you're allowed to continue to operate, but you're in a conditional status, which means everybody that looks at your DOT number, from insurance companies to people you're trying to get contracts with, they can see that conditional rating. And it's better to have no rating, or it's better to have unrated than conditional. Of course, if you go through a full-blown compliance investigation, you want it to come out satisfactory, but you don't want anything other than that, unless it's a no rated review. But yeah, this particular company has been operating since 2010 and as a conditional carrier. And they said that they've tried to look at it a couple times to get it corrected to a satisfactory, but
So the full 16 years?
for 16 years.
Holy cow.
So they've been paying higher insurance rates. They've lost tons of contracts because the companies won't use them. And they're a good-sized company. I mean, I know you know who I'm talking about, but I can't name them. So to see that they've had this struggle, it's really disheartening. And they're not the only ones. There's tons and tons of them out there. And I think the whole point of why I'm bringing this up is just to remind companies that if you're sitting there with that conditional rating, you can get it fixed. And I think a lot of companies have this big myth that they operate under, thinking that they're going to have to go through another compliance investigation. And you might. It depends. Like if you're an intrastate company staying just within your single state, you're kind of beholden to their rules. But if you're an interstate company, then there's a process to get that upgrade. And it's called the request for upgrade by submission of a safety management plan. So it's really not that difficult. You just have to make sure you get all your ducks in a row, and you kind of have to submit all the documents to show, hey, we fixed what those problems were. They're no longer an issue, and they haven't been an issue for this long. And you kind of explain to the feds, the best thing is had in hand type statement to say, look, this is what we did. This is why we messed up. This is what we did to fix it. Here's the proof that we fixed it. You submit all that to the feds, not through an audit. You just kind of ship it all off to them, and then you say, hey, this is our plan to say this is the reasons these things are never going to happen again. And you're going to jump from conditional, sometimes unsatisfactory, straight back to a satisfactory company, depending on of course, what the problems are and that they have, in fact, been fixed.
But you have to initiate that. The company.
Has to initiate that. Yeah. And it's all part of the rule. It's in part 385 of the federal regulations, which is not the most interesting read. It's good at putting you to sleep, but, that kind of thing. But I think just kind of a word of wise to a lot of companies out there, if you're suffering, you got that conditional rating. There are solutions, and it can be fixed, and it's not that difficult. It is a little bit time consuming. So sometimes to take it on by yourself, and we're dealing with another company right now that we're literally down to the wire. They're about ready. They got an unsatisfactory rating, and they went through and tried to submit everything themselves without getting some help and some guidance, and they were denied. And they call us up in full-blown panic, like, okay, can we do this in a week? And it's like, well, no, we can't. I wish we could do it in a week, but the problems, we have to make sure that they're fixed to the correct standard, and that could take a little longer. So you don't dilly-dally. If you got a fresh audit and you ended up with a conditional, they're going to leave you operational, but if you ended up with an unsatisfactory, you're going to be facing a 60-day out-of-service order from the time they close out that audit. So definitely there's some solutions out there. Get some help. When you file your taxes, you reach out to an expert. At least I do. I hope everybody else does too. I'm not smart enough to figure out the tax code, but get some help. So, reach out to somebody that can help you with that. And, there's of course my lovely company, Old Front Range Compliance, but there's others out there too. But definitely reach out. And I'm not going to charge you if you call me to ask me some questions. So if you do need some guidance, some stuff like that, then don't hesitate to reach out, that kind of thing. So it's just not worth it, right? So
Correct.
Perfect. Well, you sent me an interesting video this weekend prior to us kind of recording this, and
it was very interesting.
It was real interesting. It's about this upcoming law that Congress is looking at right now. There's so much politics going on in Washington, and everybody are fighting over certain things. Well, I would say that this is a law that is not political. I really think this is something that should be bipartisan. I highly doubt that it will be, just because I don't think our government is capable of being bipartisan right at the moment. But it's Delilah's Law. So you watched the video on that. You sent it to me. What a devastating situation that is. And
it was little gal got hit by a. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't rewatch it.
No, you're fine.
Gal in a car accident involving a commercial heavy truck. Mm-hmm. Brain damage, was in a coma.
3 months.
3 months in a coma. And now she's 5 or 6, and she's just now learning how to talk and walk again.
Yeah. So the crash was in 2024. She was 5 years old, and she was in that coma for 3 months. And the doctors told the parents that, she was going to come out of the coma, but she wouldn't be able to eat. She would never be able to walk again, and her quality of life was just going to be absolutely horrible. And against all odds, she is making a slow but yet steady comeback. So she's eating. She's able to do that. She's in first grade now, and learning how to walk again.
Yeah.
So remarkable. My thoughts and prayers go out to that family. Boy, I can only imagine the struggles that they're through. But to the many other people that have fallen victim to some of these heinous crashes that shouldn't have happened. So that kind of thing. So a little bit more about that. The driver was a 20-year-old. It was an illegal alien from India, was issued a CDL as a 20-year-old in the state of California.
From California.
Yeah, from California.
Yep.
And the crash happened in Indiana. So that's my first question that I say about this whole situation is, first off, in certain states they can have an intrastate rule that says, hey, you can get a CDL at 18, but you're limited. You got a restriction, K restriction. You can't leave the state. So that's one of the big errors that I see happen. He's 20 years old driving a truck in Indiana, and then gets involved in that crash. So that's pretty terrifying. But this law that's being introduced, or it's been bounced around and kicked around in Congress right now, is called Delilah's Law. Like I said, I really want to emphasize that this is not a political issue. This is a no-brainer issue. It doesn't matter. Trucks don't care what side of the aisle we're on. They don't care if you're a Democrat. They don't care if you're a Republican. Shoot, they don't care if you're 16 or 100. I mean, when that truck starts rolling, we got to depend on the fact that the person that's behind the wheel knows how to control and operate it. Your politics has no bearing on the fact you're a big old machine running down the road. So we got to make sure that we do have good qualified drivers. So I think it does make sense that this is something that we need to get, and I think it has a lot of really good possibilities. So the first thing that the law is going to do is it's going to limit the licenses out there, except to obviously U.S. citizens, lawful permanent residents, and certain work visas such as the H-2A, H-2B, and the E-2 visas. So those individuals are still supposed to be able to get a CDL driver's license and that type of thing. All others, of course, are going to be banned as associated with this. So a big step that it'll take once it passes that it will instantly go into effect. So it's going to be immediate. So it's going to order the revocation of any of the illegal issued CDLs that have been gone out to temporary work visas, illegal aliens, the people that are on that temporary work status. Even if an individual does have the right to work here, if it's a temporary visa, no CDL can be issued to that.
How many people they figure that's going to affect?
Well, so far they say that there's about nationwide there's about 3.5 to 3.8 million total CDL drivers. Of that, about 630 to about 720 of the drivers are foreign-born, leaving that the estimation is of those numbers about 600,000 are going to be the drivers that are getting revoked. 600,000 driver's licenses, CDLs. So that's a huge impact to this industry.
That's a big chunk.
They have claimed for years there's a driver shortage, this and that pitfall. They filled that by just giving a CDL to anybody. Well, now they've made our highways much more unsafe because, we're seeing that from everywhere from CDL schools, improperly licensed drivers. I mean, there's no way you can go to a CDL school in a week, walk away with a Class A license and actually know how to control and operate that thing. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And they're, since they started that entry-level driver training program, they're doing everything they can to, not everything they can, but they kind of let everybody self-certify that, hey, I've got a CDL training program, so you get registered in the training registry, but you don't have to submit anything. You don't have to prove to the feds that you're there. So all of a sudden you get these people that are getting their CDLs and then later finding out that the school wasn't right, and then the states are then suspending or canceling, I should say, cancel those licenses until they can be retested. But I know here in Colorado, we've seen that a few different times, and I've heard, through just discussions and others with others around the country that it's happening absolutely everywhere. So, we've got some bad issuance. So that they need to police those CDL schools, make sure people are properly getting qualified. But I think the biggest thing by this, the other part that this law is going to do is it's going to force all the exams to be done in English, which should be. I mean, all of our roadsides are in English. Everything that we do is in English, in our civilization here in the United States. So I think that's pretty important. But with that if the cancellation, such as right now, we've got the FMCSA has issued the final rule, and we've talked about that in some of our past episodes. That says, hey, we're going to cancel. You get the FMCSA putting pressure on state licensing authorities saying you need to do that. And we've got some cooperation, but because it's a rule and not an actual law, we're getting a lot of pushback from those states. So once Congress codifies this into regulation, that's going to make it set in stone. Yeah. The states are going to have to instantly, they're going to have to mandate that. So I know anytime they codify something, I think there's like a 60 to 90 day grace period. So we'll have that little window, but then it's going to immediately go into effect. And, you can't just change it. Once, rules like the FMCSA rules, that changes as a changing of the guards. So, different rules, different folks. We've had these rules before. They came into play in 2007 just for the English-speaking driver. And then, they by 2014, they decided just to kind of let that drop out and kind of developed into the problem we have now. So I think, in order to get it overturned after Congress ratifies this and they write it into law, it's going to take Congress again to change it. So,
correct.
And that's kind of a hard one to go in and argue saying, hey, let's not do this rule anymore.
Yeah.
So it'd be kind of interesting to see how that goes. I think the big thing, the big expectation from all this that I know excites both of us is the impact to the industry, because it's going to create a need for drivers, which is going to boost this industry. It's going to, trying to get drivers in is going to create more pay. It's going to probably create some good sign-on bonuses to get some drivers, some good qualified drivers in, which in turn should, intensify the market, such as, new people are going to start looking for careers in trucking.
Right.
So I think that's good. It's estimated to help start raising some of the freight rates.
Yeah.
Which I think is one of the really big contenders where we're dealing right now with prices, especially with some of these bigger companies, is, they can't compete because they're not getting paid enough to even run the truck and pay the driver. And that has just in turn driven these prices down and just made it to where it's so much easier to pay somebody less when they're they're not here legally in the United States and that kind of thing. So, I mean, I don't want to say we're trafficking humans, but I think this kind of what's going on. We're just forcing people into these positions and paying them as little as we possibly can,
taking
and
advantage.
taking advantage is a great term. And we're doing it for way cheap rates, so we're not maintenance in the truck, because we all know how much it costs to run a truck, but they're taking these low freight rates, driving the prices way down, and it's just completely killed this industry. So I put a big hurt on it, I should say, not killed.
Yes.
But we definitely and would love to see some good positive impacts back to this. So I think this Delilah Law, I honestly believe this is just 100% no brainer. I think,
And with freight rates going up too, it's going to allow guys to upgrade their equipment.
yeah.
No matter who you do it through, we get newer trucks on the road. That's safer.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah, it is.
So-
It is. Well, I remember, back when the feds, I think it was about 2017 to 2019, when they pushed in the ELDs, the electronic logging devices, and their exception was, look, if you had an old truck that was built older than 2000 year. And I was like, I saw a lot of my clients. I was like, yeah, there's companies going to the boneyard trying to resurrect trucks. And I was like, for safety, that is not a good idea. So, and that's kind of finally taken its turn, I think, or those 1999 and older trucks are slowly dying.
that depended on the company too and their shop and everything.
Of
like
course,
that.
100%.
I know a few that was like, wow, these guys are doing it and doing it right.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
the majority don't have that.
They don't have that technology or that type of talent in their shop to keep up with it. So yes, I too have seen it done successfully, but for the most part, unfortunately, I saw a lot more driving the boneyard truck. Let's just put gas in it, get it running, and a little bit of grease, and
Duct
hopefully hope
tape
for
and
the
baling
best.
wire. That's right.
So I think a truck around and find out topic. I think this is one that if it runs its course, it could be really, really positive for this industry.
Yeah,
so
it could.
that kind of thing. So perfect. Well, Keith, you got anything else you want to throw in there?
No, sir. I do not.
Perfect. How about you, Redbeard? I didn't mean to dish you so hard in the front.
Man.
We'd love to hear from you, of course.
Well, guess what?
Yeah.
I don't have nothing.
Okay, good. All right. Well, that being said, I say thank you for tuning into this episode, Truck Around to Find Out, and I hope you all stay safe. Thank you for what you do and keeping America moving forward. Keep her shiny side up out there, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot.